just like that. Then he picks up the affidavit and he says, and now I'm going to treat the affidavit as if it is merely another set of accusers. That's all he's doing. So the old accusations against Socrates, based upon an old prejudice, he pulls them together and makes believe that's the affidavit he's going to defend himself again, and that he spends this much time on it. 4 pages. So that's enough. Then he picks up the actual affidavit with the charges, and he says, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to deal with them as if they were merely another set of accusers. 4 pages, it's all over. So our question is going to be, good heavens, now look here. What's going on in the bulk of the dialogue? Practically 10 pages. This material, what's going on? Could have been left out. Could have been left out entirely. Matter of fact, you might even argue, he didn't need this either. He could have just simply rolled out the written affidavit and defended himself and have 4-page dialogue, and that'd be the end of it. But let's give him the fact that he is now trying to answer his accusers who are charging him against an old prejudice of theirs. And so we have the first, the old accusations, and then the affidavit, which he treats as another set of accusers. And let's just dispense with that in the way in which he does so well. So the first thing he does is read off that great set of charges, make-believe charges. And I'll read that for you at 19. But I must tell you first now, Socrates is very careful to address the jury, and you're going to be in the jury box tonight, and he's going to ask you to do this. Please pay careful attention. Observe and pay attention as to whether what I say is just or not. So you're in the jury box, and you have to decide whether what he's doing is just or not, because it is peculiar. All right, now the first set of false accusations brought against him, he says, there's a certain Socrates, a wise man, a ponderer over things in the air, and one who has investigated the things beneath the earth, and who has made the weaker argument the stronger. He said, these are the people who are my dangerous enemies, because they caught you when you were young, and they spoke to you and convinced you at a very early age. And there was no defense, he says. There was no defense against these early accusations against me. It's not even possible to know their names. They're all shadows. Then, curiously enough, he puts these aside, you see, and he rephrases this set. And this is then, we can really call this 2A, right? First set, and then the subsidiary second set. He says, well, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I must make a defense against these. He said, what should I do? He said, I should take up from the beginning the question of the accusation of this false prejudice directed against me. And therefore he said, how am I going to do that? I must explain, he said, what aroused the prejudice in these men. And therefore, he said, I tell you what I must do. He said, I must read their sworn statement as if it were the plaintiffs. So we have something curious here, see? We have a restatement of the accusation in 2 forms. One course comes from Aristophanes. And here's the second. Socrates is a criminal and a busybody, investigating the things beneath the earth and in the heavens and making the weaker argument stronger and teaching others these same things. This is the one I will deal with, he says. I'll deal with this. And he says, look here, the whole idea that I have some wisdom is just simply wrong. I have no wisdom. He said, if anybody can investigate the things beneath the earth and in the upper heavens, he said, it's very good. I think it's wonderful that they have such skills. He said, I don't have any. So he discusses this and shows them to be found groundless. He said, therefore, look here, it might occur to you, therefore, to raise the question, if I'm rejecting all of these early accusations against me, then how is it that I gained a certain reputation for these very things? He said, I'll tell you how the prejudice arose. He says, a friend of mine, Shaphiron, he said, had the trouble to go before the Delphic oracle and ask them about me. So he went before the Delphic oracle, and he was so bold as to ask the Delphic oracle the question. He asked if anyone was wiser than I. And the answer was, no one is wiser. Now, you have to picture this, all right? He's going to give you the reason why this prejudice was built up against him. His friend went up to the Delphic oracle and said, no one is wiser. Now, the Delphic oracle is sacred to Apollo. No one is wiser. No. If he accepts the gods of the state, Apollo's a god of the state, Athena, Apollo, I imagine he would accept that. But he says, after hearing this, he said, you know what, he said, I decided to do something. He said, I decided that I should prove the utterance wrong. This is 21c. He said, I couldn't believe it. I was wise. He said, so I decided to prove the utterance wrong. And that is, I would show the oracle that it is not true. And so I went around examining and examining. So we went around to various groups of people. First the politicians, public officials, then the poets, then the workers, and he tried to demonstrate that the oracle was wrong, that they were wiser than he. And he says, no, each one of those cases I discovered that it's not true, that none of those people were wiser than I am. He said, but therefore I came to a very interesting conclusion about this strange kind of wisdom. He said, I'm neither wise in their wisdom nor foolish in their folly. He said, I know what the Delphic oracle meant then. What he really meant was that human wisdom is of little or no value. So, well, you know, as I went around to this one group after the other group, I first went to the politicians, the poets, and the workmen. A lot of young people came around and followed me. And they were influenced by me, and they started imitating what I do. He said, that's true, that's what they were doing. But I didn't teach them. They picked up things by themselves or what they saw me doing. So therefore they think I'm corrupting the youth. But then